I mean until your fourth year here. You have to remember the 5 factors. Okay. Okay, so actually the formations of soil is not from only top to down ataupun down to top. It is from other directions, many directions, daripada kiri, kanan, atas, bawah, from the up, down, left and right. Okay, so there is a lot of processes. Okay, from here, from the diagram you can see, okay, it's actually from a big rock, a mass of rock, and how it disintegrate between them, and and up they will form a layers. Okay, which here you can see there is A horizon, B horizon, C horizon. This is just a general one, but how is the process? Okay, so if you see here, there is a lot of ni example yang saya nak tunjuk. There are a few examples showing different types of soil which actually from different parents. Okay, different parents material. Okay, this is in Hunan, China. Okay, the geological wonder is made up of over 3,000 limestone cars. This is meaning that the originality is from the limestone. Okay, so check balik. Okay, so kalau limestone is from who is the parents? Okay, you have to check. Okay, here is another examples. Okay, this is karst topography. The rocks is also made of limestone and are formed by water percolating. So the formations of this type of rock is dipengaruhi oleh water. Okay, the formation is affected by the water, and the water erodes away everything but the pillars, meaning that the rocks stand still there because of some processes. Okay, yang processes tu yang we want to see. So these are some examples why I said rocks are different, soil are different, because it depends on the places, where does it come from and what factors. Okay, later we will see the 5 factors. Okay, so this is in National Park in Bahia State. Okay, where you can see that this is also a rocks. Okay, from now we can see it as a rock, but another like 300,000 years later maybe it will be a land. Okay, it's just a normal land like the soil. Okay, so I put here YouTube for your reference. Okay, okay. This is one more examples which is in China. Okay, but this type of soil, as you can see, the obviously is the color of the soil. You can see that there is a range of color from whitish, grayish, and orange. Okay, so what actually? Yeah. Kejap. Okay, so what actually happened with the soil? Okay, so this is also a part of soil formation kita nak tengok, because of the color, the structure is different. So what factors? Okay, this is in China. Okay, you can see a part of the soil is in red color. Okay, so why it appears as red? Okay, this is in Argentina. Okay, we call it as a valley of the moon. Okay, so you can see that the rocks shape are different. That is because of the formation are different from what is in China, for example. Siapalah nak masuk ni lambat ni. Okay, so dekat sini pun kita nak tengok. Please remember the picture sebab kejap lagi kita akan relatekan which factors influence this formation, these rock formations. Okay, so this is in yang ni dekat US pun ada, dekat somewhere in Mediterranean countries such as Jordan pun ada. Okay. So this is another factors how the environmental factors affect. Yang 5 factors tadi lah Okay, this is in Turkey. Which in Pamukkale, we call it as a Pamukkale. Siapa pernah pergi sini? Any one of you have been here?
Oh.
So this is in Pamukkale. Okay, so it's very cantik kan, very nice the area. Okay, there is a hot water. Okay, is in touch with the carbon dioxide. It start to lose its warmth, and also the carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide are released to the air. Okay, so this is a part of salt formation Okay, so as a this is just a brief explanation first, but I want you to see in the field what is happening, and after this we will relate to what the 5 factors that we will learn. Okay, so as a result, the calcium carbonate precipitate. Okay, so when the calcium carbonate precipitate, it forms a what apa tu panggil, dia macam keras lah dia jadi it forms a hardy soil which are made of the calcium. Okay, so limestone are deposited at the mouth of the spring. Okay, so the water contains calcium hydrocarbonate. Okay, sedimentary rock deposited by water from the hot spring. Okay, so these are some of the examples of how why there is a different types of soil. That is because of the formations are different, the parents are different, and the factors that affecting the soil formations are different. Whether it is fast, it is slow, the minerals inside it. Contoh macam this one. This one is full with calcium, but it might be different from our places yang we have lesser calcium. So tak sama dengan kejadian dekat sini. It is not same. Okay, so this is in Tanah Lot, Bali. Okay, as you can see, this is a part of rock formation. You can see that it is located at the seaside. Okay, but of course you boleh fikir kan, the wind, the water act as the main agent. Okay, of the rock formations. Okay, you can see how it is carved. Okay, this one I think I showed you. Okay, this is in Ireland. Okay, so the parents are from the igneous rock. Okay, that the formations of this rock are from the cooling and contractions action of the rocks. Okay, during panas sejuk, but it takes a very long time. Okay, this is maksudnya dulu last time it was a magma. Okay, volcanic eruption, meaning that magma lah, the magma of the volcanic. But when it cools down, okay, it started to form like form a stone, form a rock. Okay, so the rock shape is affected by the cooling and contractions of the rocks, controlled by the temperature and weather. Okay, a flashback from last week topics. Okay, please remember we have 3 types of rock. We have igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Okay, but for this week we will learn more on sedimentary rock. Okay, yang kita nampak sekarang ni mostly we can see is sedimentary rock. Okay, unless you go to for example, you go to cave. Okay, a calcium carbonate, bukan, a calcite cave. Okay, maksudnya gua batu kapur. Okay, so the parents is not sedimentary. Of course, it is a check balik. Igneous ke metamorphic or sedimentary. Okay, so that question should be on your mind. Okay, kalau you pergi kat Gua Batu Kapur, how is it? Kalau you pergi tepi sungai, batu-batuan tu, what is it? From the colour. Okay, please refer back to the origins of each of these rocks. Okay. Okay, so I'll go fast on this. Okay, this is just a flashback on how igneous rock is formed, sedimentary, and also metamorphic rocks. Okay, so we will go straight to the factors. Okay, the 5 factors. Kalau sebelum-sebelum ni my batch panggil that as PC thought. Okay, P for paramaterial, C for climate, T for topography, O for organisms, and T for time. Okay, so PC, TOT thought. Okay, so that is the 5 factors that affecting the soil properties. When we talk about soil properties, it should be 3 things. What is that, Mas Rizal? When we talk about soil properties, ada tiga benda dalam kepala. What is that? Tak adalah tu, Hafizan.
Yes, Doktor.
What is the three things that you have to remember when we talk about soil properties?
I don't remember juga, Doktor.
Ya Allah, ya Tuhanku. Iklimah.
Physical, chemical, biology.
Yes. Simple kan? Okay, when we talk about properties, maksudnya these 5 factors influence the soil biological properties, soil chemical properties and also soil physical properties. Okay, so boleh bayangkan, they affect the structure, they affect the chemicals, they affect the organic matter content. All those words should be in your mind. Okay, so these 5 factors akan mempengaruhi the soil properties. Okay, so all factors do not exert their influence independently. It is interdependence, the 5 factors tadi. Okay, so when the soil is formed, okay, sama juga dengan the soil properties of the soil. The 3 properties, which is the physical, chemicals and biologicals. It should be discussed interdependence or interrelated. Okay. Okay, so apa yang saya nak cakap dekat sini, Aniso, sekejap I explain in BM first for them to understand, then I will repeat that in English. Okay, artinya dalam keadaan sebenar, tanah ni dia terbentuk adalah berbeza-beza. Okay, berbeza-beza mengikut climate, vegetation, topography, paramaterials. Okay, what is the organisms on top of the soil is affecting how the soil will form and is forming. Okay, as you can see here from the picture, apa yang my objective, what is I want to say here is different types of organism, which is the plant, okay, is affecting other formations of the soil, but not only that, okay, but also the climate, okay, the vegetation, okay, topography and also the paramaterials. And please remember, it is interdependence. It doesn't stand alone, depends on climate saja, tak. Okay, so it is interrelated. So kita nak tengok apa sebenarnya, why the soil is different. Yes, you can see here from the picture, you can see a grass, okay, but you can see the O horizon are thicker. Okay, when you see this is forest, okay, why there is the O horizon are slightly what is that? Nipis apa nipis? Thin, okay, and this is in desert. Okay, so in desert there is only cactus, so it is affecting the formations of the soil also. As you can see, there is no organic matter layers on top of the soil. Okay, so these are what I say that our activities tu maksudnya organisms lah, okay, is affecting the soil, but not only organisms lah, other factors also, which we will discuss one by one. Okay, so the rates of soil formation, it start from a very slow rate to a very fast. Okay, but for it to form an obvious layer ataupun kita panggil a matured soil or soil is about thousands of years. Okay, but it also can be fast, especially in kawasan yang exposed to the anthropogenic activities. Okay, because anthropogenic activities, you fasten the rate of soil formation. Okay, which is actually not good lah. Okay. Okay, I've mentioned to you before, soil is a renewable resource but a very slowly renewable. Okay, lambat proses pembentukan tanah. Okay, the first factor is climate. Okay, climate is what we call as a dominant factors. Okay, dominant artinya the first factors that are affecting the soil development. Okay, so types and rate of the ring depends on where the country is. For example, the country is in Mediterranean, kawasan Arab. Okay, then for examples, we have tropical such as Malaysia and Indonesia, and we have arid. Arid is arid kat mana? Okay, arid is somewhere like Arab. Sorry, temperate is four season countries. Okay, so it different climates have macam ni different climate determine the speed character of soil development. Generally physical weathering. Okay, so bila kita cakap pasal proses pembentukan tanah, usually the formations of the soils, we call it as a weathering process. Okay, so this development of the soil or weathering process is affected by the climate. Okay, for examples in Malaysia, generally ni general dulu, but you have to remember that you have to discuss the factors interrelated. Okay, so when you talk about tropical is always humid and it is humid and the weathering that take place is always biochemicals ataupun chemical weathering. But in arid or dry, which is less water, okay, it is more to mechanical weathering. Okay, Sharifa Abarina, can you explain to me what is the difference between, do you have any idea what is the difference between mechanical weathering and also biochemical weathering? Okay. So never mind. I just want to make sure that you are there. Okay, so what is the difference? We will see after this. Okay, but from the word itself, chemical weatherings, of course, it will involve the chemical reactions, meaning that in soil you have minerals, can you have minerals and you have the structure of the soil. Okay, so the chemical structure of the soil is changed. Okay, if you have water, because I say water is the main the main, what is that what is the word, water is the main medium, okay, for the soil to undergo the process of soil formation. Okay, but in arid kawasan yang kering, there is no water, but the temperature macam gigi like your teeth, kalau if you drink cold and hot, okay, usually you tukar cold hot, okay, meaning that your teeth are also prone to macam pecah kan. Okay, that is because they expand and they contract and they expand. Okay, so that cause the structure, about the structure meaning that the physical structure of the rock. Okay, but when you talk about biochemicals, it's chemicals are reaction. Okay, then we have effective precipitations. Okay, the water. Okay, the rain, the water flow. Okay, so this is a part of components of the climate. Sekejap. Okay, so depth of water determines the depth of weatherings. Okay, water moves solubles and suspended materials because it will change the structure of the soil physically and chemically. Okay, meaning that you can see if there is rain in one certain area, okay, the formations of the soil are different from area that doesn't receive that much of rain. Okay, number 2, PC thought So the number second important is organisms, which is organisms is either dia adalah tumbuhan yang hidup dekat atas tanah tu, okay, the living organisms on top of the soil, or um, it is from the decayed organisms under the soil, which is in the soil ha. Okay, so what is on top of the organism? Maksudnya when there is forest, okay, when the plant is forest, okay, so this is the types of vegetation that influence the soil type. Okay, when there is forest, you can see that the organic matter accumulations are little. Okay, when grassland, you can see the A or organic matter layers are more thicker. Okay, why? Nak tanya. Farisha.
Yes, Doktor.
Okay. So what do you think? Why is it different? Meaning that organisms ataupun the plant on top of the soil or the land is affecting the formations of the soil. Kenapa? Kenapa A dekat grassland lebih tebal daripada AO horizon dekat forest?
Sebab kalau dekat grassland tu, pokok-pokok tu akan decay kan. Lepas tu lagi pun dia akan tutup balik dia punya soil, top of the soil tu.
Okay, but in forest?
Kalau in forest ni pokok dia semua tinggi-tinggi. Lepas tu I don't know.
Okay, tak apa. Okay, so but it is correct. Cuma ada yang tak lengkap sikit. Okay, if you see what is the different, of course the type of vegetations are different kan. One is grass, one is big tree. Okay, so kalau you tengok grass dia hari ni you tengok hijau, might be next week kalau air tak banyak ataupun air terlebih, dia akan tukar jadi warna apa? Coklat kan? So
Kuning.
Kuning, coklat, lama-lama dia cepat mereput compared to forest. Okay, forest daunnya memanglah daun tu jatuh, but daun dia lebih lebar-lebar, lebih besar kan? Okay, so daunnya lebar dan besar, it takes time for it to undergo the process of decomposition, betul tak? So that's why the organic matter accumulations are delayed. Okay, are delayed and also delayed and lambat lah. Okay, slow process. But in grassland, grass are usually thin, halus-halus kan? Okay, small. Okay, so it is easily decomposed. So it affects the horizon. Kalau if you see here, the B horizon is almost the same. Okay, but in A and but the O horizon, the organic matter layers are more compared to the forest. Okay, that is how vegetations influence the soil types. Okay, number 2 is the base pumping. Okay, so base pumping, in other words, it is known as soil pH. Okay, meaning that it affects the soil chemically. Okay, if you see here, deciduous tree, which is usually tree which has broad leaf, okay, the litter is easily to break down. Okay, the cations selanjutnya the bases are released. Okay, meaning that the soils are not too acidic. But needles ataupun pokok like conifers tu, okay, the leaves are hard to break down because of it. Dia thick, dia tebal Okay, so basic cation leach away and usually the soil is acidic. So it determines the chemical properties of the soil. Not only that, organic matter tadi pun it is under organic chemical properties of the soil. Okay, but the layers you can see it is a physical, how it affects the physical. Okay, macro animals is also depends on the soils because Which type of soils have what we call as macro animals and macro animals and microorganisms. Okay, so kalau if that area has a lot of organisms, meaning the first type is organic matter. If organic matter is enough sufficient, it will attract organisms. Okay, when there is organisms has a lot of functions. Okay, which helps in nutrient kita panggil nutrient mineralization. Okay, not only that, it helps to change nutrient mineralizations is the changing of nutrient from unavailable form to available form, which can be uptake by the plant. Okay, number 2 is because for examples cacing. Okay, cacing apa bahasa Inggeris? Earthworm. Okay, so this earthworm will uh, excrete earthworm cast. Okay, which is dia punya tahi-tahi tu, and all those cast will undergo the process of decompositions, and it is adding up the organic matter to the old layers. Okay, so that's how it affects the soil development. Okay, okay, faham tak Mas Rizal?
Faham.
Mas Rizal,
Ya doktor.
faham?
Faham.
Tadi saya panggil tak ada.
Ada yang mana?
Tadi mula-mula sebelum saya tanya Hafizan.
Saya terkeluar tadi.
Okay. Okay, so number 3. Okay, kita dah habis 2. Satu tadi apa first tadi?
Parent material.
The parent material. Number 2, kita ada organism. Okay, organism, parent material, parent dia lah. Daripada mana. Okay, then bawah parent materials kita ada climate kan tadi. Then organism. Bawah organism kita ada 2. Which we have type of vegetation on top of the soils and also base pumping, meaning that within the soil. Number 3 is we have the topography. Topography is also important. Okay, topografi ni maksudnya bentuk muka bumi. Okay, so where is the soil located? The soil located on top of the hill, at the side of the hill, or at the bottom of the hill. So each of these locations has different developments of soil profile. Okay, why? Okay, so we will look. Okay, soils that develop on higher elevations, okay, which is here. Okay, at the top of the hill, at the top of the hill generally excessively drained or well drained. Okay, please remember saya cakap water act as a medium that help the soil to undergo the process of weathering ataupun undergo the process of soil formation. Soil formation ni dia macam weathering process. Okay, weathering process yang menyebabkan tanah tu berlaku soil formations. Okay, so usually at the top of the soil, when there is rain, air takkan bertakung dekat sini. The soil won't be won't be stagnant here. It will move down here through runoff. Okay, so however, soils that occur at lower elevations, okay, which is here, moderately well drained and poorly drained areas are mottled. Okay, so what is mottled? Nanti kita tengok lepas ni saya tak sure ada gambar ke tak, tapi nanti saya tunjuk. Okay, so you can see here there is a difference. Okay, the soil formations are different and in these 3 parts. Okay, obviously you can see. Okay, because here the water is well drained. Okay, but here it is thinner. The soil formation thin ataupun sometimes there is no soil formation here because the soil is constantly moved. Okay. The third one, which is at the toe slope of the hill, okay, you can see that the soil formations is quite well developed, but it's actually different from here to here in terms of the water. Depends on the water. Kalau if the water is berkumpul is stagnant over here, so that's when it affects the chemical properties of the soil. Sebab tu you boleh nampak mottling of the soil. I will show you the mottling. First time tadi kita cakap pasal paramaterials ke? Climate lah mula-mula, not paramaterials. Siapa cakap paramaterials tadi? Okay, so sekejap saya tunjuk the picture of the soil. Ada tak soil auger? Ada. Okay, boleh nampak tak saya punya screen? Okay, so these are some examples. Generally macam saya cakap tadi lah, dia akan different lah, but based on what is the vegetation. Okay, this is combinations of organisms on top. You can see on your left side, okay, on your left side. Okay, you can see on your left side, okay, the organisms, I mean the plant on top of the hills are different compared to the right side. Okay, right side is more like forest. Okay, but this one it is grass. Okay, so you can see that the horizons are not as obvious as here, but what I want to show you is at the apa panggil ni the side hill, okay, which there is almost no soil formations if you compare this and this. Okay, this one is because of there is grass on top of the hills, meaning that when you have cover crops ataupun grass ni tadi, it will reduce the process of erosion ataupun pergerakan tanah tu. Okay, the soil doesn't move much as here. That's why if the soil move much, okay, the soil will be carried away from this area to dia akan deposited here. You can see that most of the old layers ataupun organic matter tak stay dekat sini, but it is deposited here. Okay, so you can see here because kalau hari hujan, organic matters akan washed away through runoff process, and sebab tu O layers dekat sini you boleh nampak thick. O is also A because O dalam A sekali. Okay, it is thick. Okay, compared to here and also here, but in comparisons of two types, okay, this is well drained and poorly drained, and also the vegetations are different. Okay, so the thickness of the layers of each layers are also different. Okay, clear? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, sambung balik. Okay, here the fourth, okay, PC thought kan. First the fourth, what is the paramaterials? Okay, so paramaterials determines the texture, types of weathering also, and mineral makeup. As I mentioned, it is interrelated. Okay, so the paramaterials can influence the soils in a number of ways, which is the color, the texture, the structure, the mineral composition, and the permeability or the drainage. Because the first thing first is the paramaterials. Siapa parents dia akan menentukan dia punya properties. Okay, but how the soil formations from time to time are changing is because of this process. Okay, so there are two types of paramaterials which are recognized. Okay, kita ada dua. Okay, which is we call it, the first one is the residual. Okay, the paramaterials is the local bedrock, meaning that it looks like a rock yang besar tu. Okay, so it haven't dia still lagi developing, which it undergoes the process of weathering. Okay, long and intense weathering, widely distributed on all continents. Okay, because we have the parent materials um, in macam mana nak cakap bergantung kepada sesuatu kawasan tu lah. Okay, for example, kalau the parent materials are located at cave, the parents, who is the parents? Okay, different from um, uh, the picture that I show you in Dublin tadi, that the parents is from the igneous rock. Okay, so it determines the chemicals and also the other properties of the soil. Okay, then number 2, the second paramaterials that we named is the mesti dah terputus ni. Hello? Sekejap. I tengah kelas. Dekat Akif. Call Akif. Dah ambil dah ke? Okay, bye. Tak, call dia nombor dia. Okay. Okay, the second one is what we call as transported. Okay, so paramaterials ni ada dua. Satu residual yang macam, the example is macam a rock, a big rock. Number 2 is transported. Okay, transported is, it is developed from paramaterials, but it has been moved from its original locations. Okay, so, sekejap saya tunjuk you Okay, so this is transported materials. Okay, if you see here, the parent materials might be from the under the hill, which you cannot see, but the transported sebab dia bergerak kan from the hill to here, it is located at the river banks. Okay, so it is called as a transported materials, meaning that the original is on top of the hill ataupun dalam hill tu, okay, gunung ataupun bukit tu, but from time to time, because of the process of erosions, bringing off the sediments from top to bottom, then the formations of the soil is here. Nampak tak di sini? Ni ada tulis old alluvium younger. Okay, ni yang kita panggil tanah baru. Okay, that's why if you see at the first, initially the river might be small, but because of the collision of the soil with the river dekat tebing tu, okay, dia akan meluaskan lagi sungai tu. But this is what we call as natural phenomena. However, okay, yang sebenarnya berlaku nowadays is the other way around. Okay, the other way around meaning that daripada widening of the river, dia jadi menyempitkan river dan mencetekkan river. Okay, that is because of accelerated anthropogenic activities, meaning that contohnya in atas bukit kan, you remove all the trees, okay, meaning that the depositions of the soil is in the river, so it will cause the river to be cetek lah. Okay, so faham? Okay, so we have 2 types, residual and transported. From what you can see nowadays yang dekat bawah-bawah ni, this is a transported. Okay, then we have okay, so what is transported ni? We have a few. Okay, so we have transported by water. Of course, maksudnya tanah tu dibawa oleh water lah. The soils are being transported by water movement. Number 2 is transported by ice. Okay, which is by ice and water lah. Okay, transported by wind. Okay, meaning that it is by wind. Okay, so the end product is here. Okay, if it's deposited in lakes, okay, for example, macam gambar saya tunjuk tadi kan. Okay, gambar yang saya tunjuk ni, the parent is in the macam mana cakap dah, gunung tu lah, gunung tu kan. Okay, so by water, for example, they deposited in lakes, so kita call it as a lacustrine. Okay, then if the soil is deposited by the stream, we call it as alluvium soil. Okay, so kalau you belajar soil in details, dia ada marine alluvium, dia ada river alluvium. Okay, so berbeza-beza lagi, but what I want to show you, it is different. How it is formed, what is the agent and where it is located is mempengaruhi dia punya names, the names of the transported soil, transported materials. Okay, so if it's deposited in ocean, we call it as a marine. If it's transported by the gravity meaning that's the movements of the soil from top of the hill, but to the toe of the hill, it is called as colluvial. Okay, sekejap. Okay. So if it's transported by ice, saya tak tekankan yang ni sangat because this is not in our country, but usually in our side is alluvial, marine, colluvial type soil. Okay, so if it's deposited in water, kita the same ni lah, the same name, kita ada lacustrine, alluvial and marine. Transported by wind, deposited by wind, we also call it as alluvium. Okay, but I want to mention here is alluvial, marine and colluvial. You have to take note Okay, so kita tengok tiga dulu. Okay, alluvial is transported by running water and deposited along stream. Okay, so this is alluvial. Recent alluvial maksudnya dia masuk dekat river. But kalau dia masuk dekat river tapi kawasan di tepi pantai, we call it as a marine alluvial soil. Okay, but we also have marine soils formed by depositions in the sea. Okay, then we have yang saya terang yang penting je colluvial soil, okay, which is formed by the movement of soil from its original place by gravity, such as during landslide. Yang ni, this is common in our country lah, dengan dekat our surrounding. Okay, so these are some examples. Okay, this is colluvium. Colluvium is from the hill move down and it is deposited here. Okay, so kalau soil tu is yang paling bawah, we call it as older colluvial deposit. Sama juga untuk alluvium. The same is with alluvium, we call it as old alluvium. Okay, kalau it's on top of the older one, we call it as a young colluvial deposits. Okay, so sebab tu kita ada tanah baru, tanah lama. Okay, a good one is a well-developed soil. A well-developed soil meaning that they have a few layers of soil horizons. Okay, the profile are obvious. Okay, so ni boleh baca lah. Okay, so these are some of the examples yang saya nak tunjuk. Okay, it's not very important because it is not so related to us, but you still have to know for your general knowledge lah. Sekejap daripada tadi ni. Abnormal heart rate. Rasa berdebar 2 kali minum Nescafe kan. Okay, so here you can see the movement of rocks. Okay, but the origins of the rocks is from apa panggil ice, glacier ice. Okay, so dia daripada besar dan dia jadi kecil and deposited dekat tepi-tepi pantai. Okay, so from time to time because of the water, because of the wind, dia akan jadi like pasir lah. Okay, so it is a part of soil formation. Okay. Okay, these are some of the picture of the glacial deposits. Okay, you can see it can be in the form of rocks ataupun it can be in the forms of layers yang dah halus-halus dah. Okay, meaning that dia dah undergo the process of weatherings and dah jadi dalam layers, soil with layers. Okay, from here you can see that dia deposited macam tu je lah, moved as a rock. Okay, nampak Okay, so this is glacier soil. Okay, so from time to time dia dah eroded and also highly dah weathered. Okay, so dia blend dengan soil tu, dengan tanah kita, bukan tanah kita, tanah lah. Okay, so this is loess. Okay, loess are transported soil which the causes are by wind. Okay, so in Malaysia tak lah, tapi saya tunjuk gambar ni because contohnya in desert area ataupun Mediterranean countries, not only that, dekat somewhere in USA pun ada kawasan yang macam desert. Okay, so angin kuat. Okay, the mode of the actions of the weathering are by wind, ataupun transportations are by wind. Okay, so this wind dia akan bawa the small size particles, okay, across the area. Dia bawa the small particles and sampai satu stage dia jatuh. The silt will deposited in one area. Okay, so these are some of the examples. Boleh nampak kan, sebab tu tanah ataupun land are different. You can see in New Zealand macam ni, nampak tu. Itu that is caused by the lowest deposits. Okay, and dekat atas tu in Kashmir, okay, meaning that lowest deposits ni wind mula-mula memang you nampak dia macam bawa sikit-sikit, lama-lama dia jadi bukit dah dekat situ. Okay, that is caused by the wind that brings along the silt particles to and deposits to other places. Okay, that is how the soil is formed in that country. Okay, depending on the climate. Patah balik kat climate tadi. Okay, that is because of the climates are different. Okay, the organisms are different. For example, here of course you cannot see obviously the soil horizon kan, tak boleh nampak sebab because of there is no water, there is no organisms. Okay, that is how you will describe a soil. Okay, organisms, organic matter dia macam mana. Okay, then what is the climate ataupun temperature of the area, what is the mediums of the weathering, either it's physical or more to water. Kalau water, more to chemical reactions lah. Okay. Okay, so others by wind is dune sand. Okay, ini selalunya terbentuk disebabkan oleh angin. Volcanic ash, of course, because it is very light. Okay, very light and it's easily carried away by the wind. Okay, so from here dia mula-mula jadi as in the left picture, tapi lama-lama from time to time, it takes thousands of years, it will form like this. Okay, dia jadi layers sebab makin lama makin deposited dekat atas dia. So please remember that the soil formation is not only from top to bottom or bottom to top, but also from left and right, top to bottom, bottom and to. Dia serentak dalam pelbagai arah. Okay. So organic deposits. Okay, so one of the important materials are organic deposits in soil formations. Okay, because organic deposits originate from plants that have died or shed their leaves. So organic deposits common to swamps and marshes. Okay, maksudnya tanah tu boleh terbentuk daripada pembentukan organik juga. Okay, so that is what we call as peat soil. Okay, pernah dengar tak peat soil? Bahasa Melayu dia apa? Siapa Sharifah, siapa Sharifah lagi seorang? Sharifah Inshira.
Ya, Doktor.
Apa soalan saya? Okay. Peat dalam bahasa Melayu, what is that? Kalau kita in English we call it as a peat soil. So peat soil is one of the example yang you boleh nampak lah pembentukan tanah tu yang terbentuk daripada organic matter. Okay, so bahasa Melayu dia apa? What is that? Tanah
Bahasa
apa?
Melayu dia.
Kalau cakap peat soil you tak familiar, tapi kalau saya sebut lagi yang bahasa Melayu, maybe you be familiar with that. What is that? Any tak tahu.
Tanah gambut.
Betul, pandai. Okay. So peat soil is tanah gambut. Okay, tanah gambut ni kalau in Malaysia later kalau you belajar in details dalam soil management lah. Okay. So tanah gambut adalah a types of soil, okay, which has quite different process of soil formations sebab dia terbentuk daripada organic materials. Depends, kita ada moss peat, peat yang terbentuk daripada mosses. Okay, mosses ni lumut-lumut, okay, which you can found in certain area. Okay, contoh mesti kawasan tu berair kan. Okay, lumut-lumut ni dia kumpul-kumpul dia jadi tanah. Okay, there is peat moss. Kita ada woody peat. Okay, woody peat is peat soil yang terbentuk daripada tree and shrubs. Okay, for example, kawasan dulu last time it was mangrove. Okay, for example mangrove, tapi from time to times the mangrove has been diminished and dia bertukar jadi a land. Okay, so this land mestilah mangrove tu ada kan. Okay, so that mangrove will form mesti ada woody peat. Maksudnya dia ada kayu-kayu yang lama-lama yang sedang mereput tu. Okay, so from time to times dia akan develop a peat soil. Okay. Okay, sedimentary peat. Okay, so the peat the organic are from aquatic plants and fishes. Okay, so we have different types, but most common is woody peat. Peat moss selalunya memang kita guna. Okay, kita guna untuk tanam pokok. Okay, but we don't usually have our own peat. Kita selalu import lah that peat. Okay, kita tak ada moss peat ni. We usually have woody peat. Okay, kawasan-kawasan tanah gambut dekat area Sepang, dekat area Johor. Okay, mostly woody peat. Okay, so these are some of the examples as you can see. Okay, banyak ni dia punya O layers. Okay, which is very very thick. Okay. Okay, so last time it was this one it's macam tasik. Okay, but from time to time dia develop dia jadi peat yang macam ni. Dia jadi daratan. Okay, tengok 7,000 before century. Now is 1900. Okay, so it takes a very long time for it to bertukar daripada from lake to a land. Okay, so bila dah jadi land, it is like this. Okay, these are some examples of, this is also a part of the soil formations. Okay, so yang ni adalah peat soil in Malaysia. Okay, as I mentioned, kalau the problem with peat soil is usually the water adalah stagnant sebab dia organic matter tinggi kan. Organic matter ni dia macam kapas. Okay, dia macam sponge which dia absorb a lot of water. Okay, so under the, sekejap saya lost count yang mana satu sekejap Under dia sebenarnya bawah parent materials ni ada banyak. You have types of parent materials, you have all this collovium, alluvium, and also organic deposit. The parent, meaning that the parent is from how it is formed. Okay, origins of the plants. Okay, then you have the last one is weathering. Weathering is under parent materials. Okay, this is the small subtopic of it. Okay, ni yang saya cakap tadi. Ada two types of weathering. Okay, so we call it as a physical weathering and also chemical weatherings. Physical is more to disintegrations of the parent materials. Okay, increase the surface area, maksudnya like this. Okay, from a big rock, it will form into a small rock, meaning that they disintegrate the physical parts of the rock. Okay, but the chemical weathering is primarily minerals that are broke down and secondary minerals are formed. Ingat chemicals are changes of the minerals inside the soil. Okay. Saya nak bersin. Okay, so these are some or a few of the ni, tapi this is from book. Sekejap kita tengok one by one. Sekejap lagi Yang ni is just a summary of it. Okay, so macam saya cakap tadi, kalau dekat kawasan yang panas macam Mediterranean area, dry and cool, usually it is dominated by the strong physicals weathering. But if it's kawasan yang hujan, panas dan lembap, okay, rainfall and hot. You have rain and hot. Okay, so a strong chemical weathering process. Okay, Then you have, these are some examples of physical weathering, disintegrations of the rock from a big one to a smaller one. Okay, then what caused this to happen is because of the, macam saya cakap, macam gigi tak boleh cold and hot. Okay, so dia akan pecah sendiri the rock will break itself. Okay, because of the contractions and what is that? What is the word? Contractions and alamak. Contraction apa? Contraction tu mengecut. Mengembang. What is
Expand.
mengembang? Expand and contractions of the rocks. Thank you. Okay, so this is how it is formed, but this is more on physically dominated weathering. Okay, you can see this is the real picture of how it is formed. Nanti dia bentuk kecil-kecil ni, kecil-kecil pecah-pecah lagi until dia jadi soil macam yang paling halus tu. Okay. So under physical weathering kita ada a few types. Exfoliation. Exfoliation ni dia macam bawang yang kita buka kulit dia. Dia outer part of the rocks. Macam tadi dia disintegrate, pecah macam tu kan. So we have exfoliations. Dia dekat at the surface of the rocks. Dia crack macam tu Okay, that is because of the expanse and the contracts, okay, during the day and night. Okay, so the surface is affected. Okay, so it's how it's peel away. Okay, so kalau kau nampak kat gunung-gunung kan ada macam ni kan. Okay. Okay, sama juga yang macam ni. Yang ni kalau siapa orang Terengganu boleh pergi tengok. Mesti ada. Okay. Dekat pantai Dungun tu. Okay, so another types of mechanical weatherings ataupun physical weathering, kita ada abrasion. Abrasion ni in Malay we call it as pelanggaran particle sand tu dengan the rocks. Okay, meaning that the particles of the sand collides with the rock. Okay, we call it as abrasion. Okay, so this is the process. It should have either wind, water and ice. Okay, meaning that when there is a wind, the wind will bring away the sand tadi kan. Okay, so angin tu kuat. Okay, sand pun dia boleh bawa and dia collides. Maksudnya dia langgar dengan the big rock. Okay, dia hit the big rock and dia macam it likes it carving the big rock lah. Okay. Okay, so this is the real picture of the rock, okay, which is formed by the abrasion process. Okay, so kalau you nampak yang dekat bahagian yang kecil ni, that is because of the what is that, velocity kelajuan angin tu yang langgar dia, meaning that constantly dia collides with the big rock. Okay, selalunya kelajuan angin is affected by the area kan. Kalau dekat kawasan yang macam ni sebenarnya lagi laju. Okay, that's why dia collides more and greater near to the ground levels, and at the same time dia carve the rocks, the big rock. Okay. Okay, so this is the same abrasion but it is by water. Okay. So that's why you can see different soil formations. But from time to time, kalau at our age yang 80, kita hidup sampai around 80 years kan, we cannot see lah because this one takes thousands of years. Okay. Okay, sebab tu lah kita tak nak musnahkan macam Gua Batu Kapur because the formation, the time it takes to form that structure, that unique structure is very, very long. Okay. Okay, so we go back to physical weathering dah. Okay, so next is chemical weathering. Okay, so chemical weathering is the breakdown of the rocks by chemical mechanisms. Okay, the most important are you have to remember, which is carbonations, hydrations, hydrolysis or oxidations. Okay, what happened when the chemical weathering take place is, just now I have mentioned to you that the minerals composition will change. Okay, for examples, the carbonations. Okay, the carbonations is the process of reaction between the calcite. Okay, meaning that there is a source of calcium carbonate plus water. Okay, and also there is a carbon dioxide and form into a minerals what we call as feldspar. Okay, so you can see here rock that usually undergoes this is limestone and marbles. Okay, so limestone plus water plus carbon dioxide, it will change into another types of rock, which is, we call it as a calcium bicarbonate. So actually calcium bicarbonate, dia punya properties are different, which is less soluble than limestone. Okay, that is how they change. Nanti dia change lagi sampai it become a very soluble calcium. Oh, okay. Auger tu kat mana? Okay. Okay, the next process is hydrations. Okay, so hydration is a process of adding water molecules into the forms of hydrated materials. Okay, meaning that, for examples, the rock is first known as hydrated calcium. This is some of the examples. Okay, so the water molecules are added to form a hydrated materials, so it is changed into a what we call as anhydrate. Okay, a calcium sulfate. A calcium sulfate, or we call it as a gypsum. Okay, the first mineral compound we call it as a anhydrite. Okay, ataupun calcium sulfate. Tapi bila dah campur air, adding a water molecules, it becomes another minerals which is calcium sulfate. The same as bauxite soil. Okay, bauxite soil is AlO3 plus water molecules, they becomes a hydrated aluminium. Okay, so this is how it change. Bila dia chemically dia dah berubah because of the weathering process, which the main agent are the water. So the physical appearance are changed. So this is the answer why first ada tanah warna hitam, then ada tanah warna putih. That is because of the weathering process. Okay. So at the middle ni pun might be the some slightly orange color ke. Okay. So dia merubah, it will change the chemical properties of the soils. Besides the physical appearance are also changing. Then the third one is you have the hydrolysis. Okay, so hydrolysis is the reaction between the parent materials and water to form a more soluble product. Okay, from here you have feldspar, minerals hydroxide, okay, which is potassium. You have potassium, aluminium, silicon, and also oxygen. But with the additions of water here, it will change into what we call as aluminium silicate, and dia akan keluarkan the potassium. Okay, so from here, you boleh ambil potassium ni buat baja. That's why different minerals sebenarnya pada asal parent dia lain. Then when it undergo the process of weathering, dia akan jadi mineral lain that might be useful for you. Okay, so the last one is we call it as oxidations. So oxidation is the process of additions and combinations of oxygen to minerals. Okay, so it will accelerate a rock decay, meaning that it will accelerate the process of weathering. Okay, so the oxidation is more active in the presence of moisture and results in hydrated oxides. Okay, for example, contoh yang saya boleh bagi adalah proses pengkaratan, rusting, rusting process of besi. What is besi? Rusting process of anyone? Metal, yes. Okay, the metals. Okay, so for example, it will change colors. Okay, kalau oxidation selalunya kalau tanah, if you see the soil is in orange color, the soil is already oxidated. Okay, dia bukan oxidated, the soil has undergo the process of oxidation. Okay, so from it will change the chemical compositions of the soil. Okay, so inside the soil there is minerals. Okay, so these minerals are in chemical form. Okay, so for example, ferrous oxide plus oxygen dia akan jadi ferric oxide, another levels of ferrum. Magnetite dia akan jadi hematite. Okay, then you have hematite campur lagi water, which is water is you have also oxygen kan, dia akan jadi limonite. So different the problem is that sebenarnya different state of ferrum ni tadi juga mempengaruhi the pollution levels. Ada yang macam mana nak cakap minerals ni if it's in a stable form, okay, dia okay tau. But if it's in the form of bila dia bertukar sometimes, dia akan jadi toxic to the environment. That is the dangerous part of it. Okay, meaning that when the chemical reactions, when the chemical compositions of the salt has been changed, okay, so from time to time akan belajar lah the factors, one of the most factors that affecting the changing oxidation process lah. Oxidation and also pH. Okay, so dia akan tukarkan kepada metals yang toxic to the environment. It will change into a toxic materials. Okay, might be the parent, which is ferrous oxide, is not dangerous to the environments and aquatic organisms, but when it change into this form Fe2+, dia akan be bioavailable in the environment. Bioavailable ni maksudnya dia akan masuk dalam rantaian makanan. It will enter the food chain and actually when you eat, it will affect you lah. That is what we call as bioavailability. When it enter the food chain, maksudnya dia masuk inside the fish, then you consume the fish, so it's affecting you. That's why you can see heavy metals presence in the fish ataupun sometimes in the newspaper. It's stated there that don't eat mussels from Selangor, perairan Selangor. That is because of the area has been contaminated by oil spill. Okay, so then selalunya benthic organism ni yang macam kerang-kerang or mussels, they like to absorb that pollutants tau. Sebab tu kita tak boleh makan kerang banyak sangat. All those benthic organism, kita panggil benthic yang berjalan-jalan atas dalam laut tu kan, yang duduk di dasar laut. They are like filter the heavy metals. Okay, so how the heavy metals enter is either kalau dekat dalam ocean is spill of oil lah, tapi but in real in lake macam tu ataupun sungai, might be from our agriculture activities, oxidations of the soil, because bila you buat pembalakan kan, the soil will enter the aquatic environments kan. Okay, so these are some examples of weathering explosive rocks. Okay, you can see that the color are orange. Okay, the last one. Okay, the last one is time. Amount the time soil has been exposed to weathering and soil forming processes. Okay, so the longer the time, the more the soil formations, meaning that you can see obviously the layers. If it's a new soil, usually kalau new soil macam saya cakap tadi lah, dekat tebing, dekat at the hilly side, at the hillside ataupun at the beach, okay, usually sentiasa proses tu masih lagi berlaku. The soil is disturbed constantly, so it cannot develop obvious layers. Okay, that is what we call here. We call it as a young soil, while here we call it as a matured soil. Okay, so these are some of the examples. Okay, daripada from the parent. Okay, from the parent, from time to times dia develop dekat sini pula. That is because of the movement and because of the changes of the topography, times. Okay, so as I mentioned, is interrelated. Okay, so habis lecture kita hari ni. Saya laju-laju juga sebab nak buat lab. Okay, so ada soalan tak, apa-apa nak tanya? So kalau tak ada, kita boleh continue dengan lab. Husna, do you have any question?
Doctor, what
Yeah.
if all of the rocks turns into soil one day? Means all of the rock around the world.
Kan? But if you see from my opinion lah, kalau you nampak balik from time to time, macam saya cakap, dia memang menghakis tanah tu kan. Dia meaning that from a big rock it turns into a small rock kan. Tapi from time to time because there is pressure and changes, dia akan membentuk lapisan baru balik. Kan you belajar balik yang patah balik yang last lecture, okay, what is that igneous rock it is formed through pressure, okay, from time to time the layers and dia form balik. Tapi I'm not sure whether dia boleh jadi rock balik ke tak. Tapi kalau ikut proses tu by time and pressure and temperature dia boleh jadi rock balik. Kan ingat tak patah balik yang belajar tu? Okay, but it takes a very long year, a very long time lah. Okay, tak tahulah ada lagi ke tak dunia ni kan nanti. Okay. Tu je lah mampu saya jawab Husna. Okay, any question more Nurin? Faham tak Nurin?
Faham.
Faham Okay, sebenarnya you nak the factors ada 5 je. Tapi dalam dia ada yang the small parts. Okay. Syuhada okay Syuhada?
Okay.
Wan Nur Nasrin okay?
Okey doktor.
Nisrina okay?
Okay, doktor.
Iza okay Iza? Azuri okay? Okay, so kita rest kejap 10 minutes. Pukul 4 kita jumpa balik at the same link, okay? Sebab saya nak brief sikit, saya nak tunjuk cara kita ambil soil samples by using